about their investigation into the deaths of the actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa.
Hollywood has seen its share of tragic deaths, but few were as shocking as the discovery of Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, found dead in their Santa Fe home, weeks after they had already passed. The front door stood slightly ajar, stacks of unopened mail piled outside, signaling that something was terribly wrong. At first, authorities suspected natural causes, but as they dug deeper, eerie signs suggested someone knew about their deaths before the world did. Then came the biggest twist. Hackman's daughter, Leslie Ann, became the focus of suspicion. Was she hiding something? And just how far would she go to keep the truth buried? Gene Hackman's lifeless body was discovered near the kitchen, slumped over in an unnatural position. His signature shades lay beside him, as if they had simply slipped from his grasp. In the bathroom, his wife, Betsy Arakawa, was also found deceased. Pills were scattered across the counter, and the sink, once filled with water, had long since dried up, leaving behind a thin, filmy residue. There were no signs of forced entry, no blood, no indication of a struggle. The eerie scene was made even more perplexing by the presence of their 3 dogs, 2 of them alive and unharmed, the third lying dead in its crate. Something was off. The bodies weren't fresh. Skin had shrunk tightly over bone, as if decomposition had stalled. It wasn't just death, it was an eerie preservation, a body frozen in time. When the coroner examined the remains, the horrifying truth emerged. Gene and Betsy had been dead for weeks. The air was thick with stagnation. Spoiled food sat untouched, and silence suffocated the house. One question loomed. How had 2 people, one a Hollywood legend, vanished unnoticed for so long? As detectives began piecing together the timeline of events, an unexpected clue surfaced. Gene Hackman's pacemaker. Investigators retrieved data from the device which recorded the exact moment his heart had stopped beating. That single data point changed everything. According to the records, Gene likely passed away on February 17th. That meant the house had remained eerily silent for at least 9 days before police intervened. But something wasn't adding up. If Gene had died suddenly, why was Betsy found in another room? Why had she not called for help? If she had been alive for some time after his passing, why did she not reach out to anyone? More troubling still, a small but noticeable gap in the front door suggested that someone had entered the house before police arrived. Who had been there? And why had they left without notifying authorities? Toxicology and lab reports only deepened the mystery. No poison, no overdose, no clear cause of death. But then a chilling discovery. Someone had been watching Gene Hackman's home. Surveillance footage showed suspicious activity, unusual phone records, GPS tracking. Someone knew what happened before the authorities arrived. As detectives traced the digital trail, all signs pointed to Gene's own daughter, Leslie Ann Hackman. She claimed to have spoken to him weeks before, but phone records proved otherwise. There had been no calls. Then came the most damning evidence: altered estate documents and financial transactions made before Gene's death was even confirmed. This was no simple inheritance dispute. It looked premeditated. Investigators now faced the chilling question: had Gene Hackman's death been an accident or a carefully planned crime? Gene Hackman's pacemaker data pinpointed the moment he died, and when detectives cross-referenced this with other records, the picture became clear. His phone fell silent. No calls, no texts, no banking activity. It was as if he had simply vanished. Security cameras from a neighboring property captured unsettling footage. Shadows moving outside his home. A parked car sitting on the street for hours. Inside, motion sensors picked up strange activity at odd hours. Yet the front door never opened. It was as if someone had been watching without ever making their presence known. Gene was a man of routine. Morning walks, mail collection, bills paid on time. Then suddenly everything stopped. His final internet search, last call, and digital footprint all cut off abruptly. A breakthrough came when investigators detected a mysterious phone signal near the house the night before. Jean's pacemaker recorded its final beat. The number was unregistered, bouncing between towers. Someone had been there. Someone had seen what happened. If Jean had suffered a medical emergency, why hadn't Betsy called for help? Why hadn't she left the house? Instead, a single bank transaction on February 16th marked her last known activity before all went dark. Had someone ensured neither of them survived? Leslie Ann Hackman insisted everything was normal, but evidence told a different story. Call logs contradicted her, and financial records linked to her name raised alarming questions. Some transactions predated Jean's officially reported death. More troubling still, legal documents pertaining to Jean's estate had been modified. Key details had been altered before his passing was confirmed. If these changes had been made prior to February 17th, it meant they had been planned in advance. That raised an even bigger question. Had Leslie known something others didn't? Had she been preparing for her father's death before it even happened? When confronted with these discrepancies, Leslie became defensive, her statements less coherent. She couldn't explain why no calls had been made. She couldn't account for the suspicious financial activity. And then came another unsettling detail. Jean's assets had been discussed with a lawyer on the very day his pacemaker recorded its final movement. Yet no public announcement of his death had been made. How could legal transactions concerning his estate have occurred when no one outside the family even knew he was gone? When the autopsy report arrived, it failed to provide clear answers. No physical injuries, no evidence of a violent attack, no signs of a struggle. The toxicology report ruled out an overdose, yet there was another mystery. Jean Hackman's vital heart medication was missing. He had a known heart condition requiring strict adherence to his prescriptions, but there were no refills, no extra pills lying around the house. If he had simply run out, there should have been proof of attempts to get more. Instead, the medications had seemingly been removed. Had someone deliberately withheld his medicine? Had someone ensured that, when the time came, he would not receive the care he needed? The lack of physical violence did not mean the absence of intent. Neglect, manipulation, and premeditated inaction can be just as deadly as an outright attack. As each new piece of evidence surfaced, the walls closed in. The truth was on the verge of being exposed. And when it finally was, there would be no going back.